Hey guys, alrighty. So we have had quite a couple days here in the market. So we got some pretty strong and pretty impressive just overall divergences that are starting to kind of form here in the market. So let's talk about a couple of those. Um, Big one I think that was interesting to me just today. If you looked at the top 10 tickers and Qs and really in SPY, all of them were pretty much red today, besides Apple and Google, which are up 1% each, and then Nvidia was up 4.8%. However, obviously we closed red on NQ today, but until power hour, we were set up for a green close, and we had rallied pretty much from about 10:45 a.m. right until power hour, and we held. So this also happened on Friday, and I mentioned it briefly on Friday that it was the first time since 1962 that we had had that much lopsided divergence in the market. So essentially on Friday, even though we closed up about 1 point, I don't remember what it was, but it was over 1% green, but less than 40% of the NYSE was rising, and for every one green stock on S&P 500, there was two red. Yet we still closed massively green. Today we saw a very similar negative breath despite almost going green there for a little bit. So, starting to see some real big just divergences. The next major one I want to talk about is the 10-year and the dollar. So we had actually bounced nicely, and this was on Thursday and a Friday, got a new demand down at 3.881%, and now we're setting up in this 4.138 to 4.181% resistance area. Remember, we rejected on the 19th and the 24th and 25th. One thing I think that is really crazy here is this is a 9.43% move from low to high on the 10-year. The last time we had any sort of move on the 10-year in such a short period of time, so about 2 days really, was October 17th to the 19th, where the 10-year moved up 6.5% in 2 days. Now, during that time period, SPY fell 4.7% in 4 days. Now, the closest time that we actually had the 10-year move up this much, so that about 9.4%, was March 14th to the 22nd. During that time, SPY fell only 2%, but it had just fallen 6.6% the week before. And what happened was that was during the bank runs of 2023. So again, 10-year is making a move similar to what happened last time we had a bank run. Now, let's jump over to the dollar here. Same thing. We put a new demand in at 103.06. We popped all the way up. 2-day move of 1.67%. The last time we had a move this large was July 27th to the 28th. SPY fell 1.6% in 2 days from high to low. The only other time in recent about a year that this has happened was March 14th to the 15th, 2023. And during that time period, SPY fell 2.5% in 2 days. Now, again, what happened during that time period? That was the bank run time of 2023 in March. So, where is SPY right now? Well, if we take the low from Thursday, if we include the 10-year, to close right now, we are at about 1.9% green over 3 days. So obviously, huge difference there. Now, again, correlation is not always causation. We shouldn't expect just because the 10-year does this or does that, that we should see this. But there is starting to be just an overwhelming just lopsidedness and divergence and just overall nonsensicalness of the technicals right now. So one thing I thought was interesting was I mentioned it last week was that we were seeing potential bank issues in the small banks again. So remember last week, I think the ticker is NYCB. It was down about 40% in 2 days. And remember last week I showed of about the 270-ish small regional bank tickers, all but 60 of those were down, and they were pretty red. That was on Thursday, I believe. That's when we initially got our 10-year spike. So either the 10-year and the dollar are completely wrong, or there is some sort of massive underlying disconnect. Now, again, a lot of people are starting to compare this run up with the Mag 7 to that of 2023, or sorry, not 2023, of the dot-com bubble. It's starting to look very similar to that. Again, doesn't mean we're going to get a crash. It doesn't mean things aren't going to work out and kind of normalize, but, we're just starting to see a lot of just oddities and just overwhelming just technicals that don't make a lot of sense. So let's take a look at SPY here. So on Wednesday and Thursday, we put that new demand in at 42.83. We had a supply up here at 490.95. We broke through that on Friday. We came down today, back tested 8 EMA support, bounced, and we closed, and now we're turning 490.95 previous resistance into support. So to the upside here, we are looking for a new all-time highs at this rate for the bulls. So that's 496.05 or above. I would not be surprised to see a double top with this kind of hammer candle to push up or hanging man candle, sorry, to break out here. However, with this top here, we could see a little retrace here. So we didn't get a new supply though, and we do have buyers. So favor still goes to the upside. And even if, like here on the 31st and whatnot, we come back down to the 20 EMA, we've done it quite a few different times until we close realistically a full candle below this 20 EMA support. I would not be long-term bearish in this market. Now, when we go over to ES here, we actually did get a new supply today at 49.73, and we did not have buyers come in to support further upside. Again, though, 8 EMA support is holding really well, so I would not be surprised to see the double bottom push up. And then realistically, same thing, we're targeting all-time highs. On Friday, we got real close to 5,000, about 2.25 points short, but we could not get there. So that is certainly a target of 5,000 still. Same thing, though, until we break this blue line here down in this 4,900 area, I would be careful being short in this market. Now, when we look at Qs here, we do have a possible kind of, it may be an M pattern starting to pay out here where we have the top, this is our peak, and then this is our low. So we could be looking at a move to the downside here. However, same thing, 8 EMA support held well. And we finally, after on Friday breaking through 428.24 supply and resistance, and remember that was resistance for quite a while here, we held that today and we actually turned that into support. So, same thing, this candle shows potential for a breakout here, but, same thing here, we're at all-time highs, we got a lot of weird technicals happening, so we could finally get a little bit of a retrace. Now, NQ is the one that, despite having buyers and despite the bounce off the 8 EMA support here, I actually find myself more bearish on NQ strictly because for the last 12 trading days, we have traded between 17,260 and 17,714. And you see today we popped over it and we were over it really basically until power hour when we dropped. But we are holding this 17,713 resistance super well here. Until we can close over that level and more importantly, hold over that level, this looks like a top for us. I mean, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, now 6 different rejections in the last about 8 or 9 days off this same level. So this is critical resistance here. So we go over to the VIX. Same thing with the 10-year and the dollar and everything else that's happening. The VIX, and I've mentioned this quite a few different times, if we, look at it realistically, just zoomed out here, if you go back to, let's see, this is November 15th here. We dropped down. Since we made our 52-week low on December 12th and put this demand in at 12.08, we have been in a steady uptrend for, going on 2 months now. However, despite our uptrend on the VIX, and again, we basically, by saying uptrend, I mean we have not made new lower lows. We have not really put in lower demands either. We did reconfirm 12.43 twice, and then we got 12.52, then 13.31. We are still in the uptrend on the VIX, which again, you would think would be a downtrend in the markets, but we're not seeing that. So, again, just a lot of the oddities still playing out here. I think 2024, I think is going to be an interesting year to trade. There's a lot to do with the rate cuts potentially, maybe bank issues now, obviously housing and inflation. So a lot of things happening, especially with us sitting at all-time highs here. So I hope you guys had a good day trading today, and I will see you guys tomorrow.